WAV. My roommate is a beautiful teacher with fair skin, beautiful face, and long legs. WAD. One night, the female teacher knocked on my door and asked Kokathislai, "Can I share the house with you?" I was stunned. "What do you mean? Aren't we just sharing the house?" The woman's face suddenly turned red, biting her lip and said, "I mean, WAG. The two of us sleep in one bed. WAG. I shared a house with three strangers while working in Beijing. The house is on the edge of the Fifth Ring Road and is a three-bedroom apartment. WAG. I live in the master bedroom and have my own independent bathroom. The other two bedrooms are occupied by a couple and a young girl, respectively. WAV. Although we live under the same roof, we rarely interact with each other. WAV. I don't even know the name of my roommate. WAD. Until one day I picked up a work card outside the door, which read Beijing School PAYUHN and a girl's ID photo, the roommate next door. It turned out that the girl's name was Pei Yuan, and she was an elementary school teacher. WAV. I noticed that there is also an ID card in the plastic film on the back of the work card, showing that she was from Yuing, Hunan, and was 27 years old this year. WAV. Pei Yuan is one. WAV. 7 meters tall with delicate and three-dimensional facial features. WAV. She can be described as stunning, especially her long legs, which are white and warm, setting off the beautiful curves of her figure. WAD. I returned my work card and ID card to Pei Yuan, who thanked me and gave me a bag of Hunan specialties. WAV. Generally speaking, the living conditions of the shared house are not bad, but the unscrupulous second landlord began to make trouble. He asked the workers to partition the living room and the storage room. 2 bunk beds were placed in the living room, which was transformed into a dormitory that can accommodate 4 people. WAV. For girls moved in within a few days, the storage room was too narrow, and it could barely fit a bedboard, which was rented to a boy. WAV. In this way, 9 people squeezed into one house, and shared rent became group renting. The bathroom became a scarce resource, and everyone's hard days came. WAV. Every morning and evening, you have to queue up to wash and brush your teeth. WAV. The key is that the 7 girls are slower than each other in washing and brushing their teeth. WAV. Sometimes you can't get a turn even after waiting for a long time. WAV. This makes people collapse who doesn't have 3 urgent needs. I am very glad that I don't share a bathroom with them. My room not only has a private bathroom, but also a small balcony where I can grow flowers, dry clothes, and drink tea. WAV. To put it bluntly, it is a small world when the door is closed. WAG. One night, I was playing games when I heard someone knocking on the door. WAV. I took off my headphones and got up to open the door. WAD. It was Pei Yuan. The girl was wearing fluffy pajamas. Her hair was messy, covering half of her face. Leaning against the door, her legs trembling uncontrollably, and she almost fell. WAD. I hurriedly supported her. "Are you okay?" Pei Yuan's face was flushed, and she bit her lip and said, "Fang Yuan, can I borrow your bathroom for a while?" I was stunned for a moment. "Sure, you can use it." WAD. Pei Yuan hurriedly said thank you, rushed into the bathroom and closed the door, and then there was a sound of water. WAD. This sound of water was so pleasing to the ears and heart. WAD. I stood at the door, imagining the girl inside, and my heartbeat accelerated. After a while, Pei Yuan came out of the bathroom relieved. "Thank you, Fang Yuan." WAD. She looked bitter. "Fortunately, you saved me. I couldn't walk just now. The bathroom outside has been occupied. I dare not drink so much water at night in the future." WAD. I casually said, "You're welcome. Come and use it anytime you need it." WAD. Really? Pei Yuan's face was full of joy. "Brother Fang, you are so nice. I was just being polite, but she took it seriously." WAD. Sure enough, there was a second time, a third time. WAV. Countless times. WAV. At first, every time Pei Yuan knocked on the door, she would wait for me to respond before coming in. Later, she would come indirectly after knocking twice. Double UAV. Once I was changing clothes, and halfway through, she pushed the door in. He was almost exposed, and hurriedly wrapped myself in the quilt. The scene was very embarrassing. WAG. Peiwen was stunned, then covered her mouth and smiled, said sorry, and went to the bathroom carelessly, seemingly not caring. WAD. One night, Pei Yuan came to my bathroom again. This time she brought shower gel and shampoo and came to take a shower. WAD. There was a sound of water splashing in the bathroom. WAD. The door was made of frosted glass, and the graceful figure of the woman was cast on the glass door, which was hazy and tempting. WAD. Looking at the woman's changing figure and listening to the sound of water splashing, I felt a little uneasy. WAV. I had an impulse to push open the door and take a look at the scene inside. This was a terrible thought, just like standing on the railing of a high building and always wanting to jump down. WAV. I tried not to listen or look, trying to drive away my distracted mind, but I felt a heat in my nose and I had a nosebleed. WAV. At this time, the lights in the room suddenly went out, and it was pitch black all around. WAV. Pei Yuan screamed and shouted in the bathroom, Fang Yuan, why did you turn off the light? I didn't turn off the light. There must be a power outage. WAD. I hurried outside to check the electric meter. Our electric meter is indeed in arrears. It happened once last month, but the electricity card is not with me. WAD. Then what should I do? Pei Yuan's voice was anxious. I just washed half of my hair, and suddenly there was no hot water. I thought about it and said, I'll go to the kitchen to boil a pot of water. You add some cold water and finish washing your hair. WAD. Do you think this will work? Okay, that's the only way. WAD. Pei Yuan said, standing behind the bathroom door, thank you, Fang Yuan. Please be quick. I boiled a pot of hot water and brought it to the bathroom door. The water is ready. How can I give it to you? Pei Yuan said, just put it at the door. I'll come out to get it. WAV. I put the kettle on the ground, but at a certain distance from the bathroom. After all, the room was dark and there was boiling hot water in the kettle to prevent Pei Yuan from accidentally scalding herself when she came out. WAV. Pei Yuan opened the bathroom door, wrapped in a bath towel, came out barefoot, and groped in the dark to find a kettle. WAV. But maybe it was the dim light or the slippery floor. Pei Yuan stumbled and fell directly out of the bathroom. The bath towel wrapped around the woman also scattered, and although the light in the room was dim, it was still a white patch, very dazzling. WAV. It happened so suddenly that I stared at the woman under my feet in a daze, not knowing whether to help her or not. WAV. Oh, it hurts. Pei Yuan fell hard and lay on the ground, crying out in pain. WAV. I hurriedly bent down, fumbled with my hands and feet to cover her with the bath towel, and then helped her up. Are you okay? Don't touch me. The girl was as angry as a mosquito, and her expression could not be seen clearly in the dark, and she turned her back. WAG. As soon as I turned around, Pei Yuan picked up the kettle and ran into the bathroom, closing the door with a bang. The lights in the room came on. It should be because the electricity bill was paid. WAV. Pei Yuan came out of the bathroom after taking a shower. WAV. Her face was like a burning cloud. WAV. She bit her lip and asked, did you see everything? I was embarrassed and explained, it was dark. WAV. I only got a glimpse of it. WAV. It was all white. WAV. I really didn't see it clearly. WAV. Pei Yuan grabbed her hair to cover her face. WAV. Her shoulders kept shaking. Woo. WAV. I'm so embarrassed now. I don't know what was wrong with my brain, so I said, hey, you've seen me anyway, so we were even. WAV. Pei Yuan was stunned for a moment, raised the toiletries in her hand and wanted to throw them at me, but stopped in the air and said madly, hate it. I will never use your bathroom again. I thought to myself, thank God I'm finally free. WAV. Pei Yuan bit her lip and said, Fang Yuan, if you dare to tell anyone about this, I will definitely fight you to the death. I'm not smart. Why should I tell others about this? I said this, paused and added, besides, It is better to be happy alone than to share happiness with others. You must forget about this. Pei Yuan rushed to me, grabbed my collar. Her face was like a burning cloud, and her arms kept shaking. WAD. What happened just now? I scratched my head. Why can't I remember it all of a sudden? WAD. Pei Yue Chan's hand slowly let go of me, then squatted on the ground, covering her face and crying softly. WAD. Just kidding. Why are you still crying? I hate you. Pei Yue Chan's shoulders trembled slightly. WAD. I squatted in front of Pei Yuan and looked at her closely. Pei Yuan was wearing loose pajamas on her upper body, paired with a pair of denim shorts, and there were bruises on her knees and calves which should be caused by the fall just now. WAD. Your leg is bruised. Apply some medicine. Don't bother with it. I took out a bottle of safflower oil from the drawer and handed it to Pei Yuan. Apply it yourself so you won't say I'm taking advantage of you. WAD. It's over. I seem to have sprained my waist and I can't bend down. WAD. Pei Yuan frowned, looking painful. Yuan, can you help me apply the medicine? I hesitated, nodded, and said, it may be a little painful when you apply the medicine at first. Bear with it. WAD. I squatted under Pei Yuan, close to the woman's long legs, smooth and delicate with clear texture. WAD. I poured safflower oil into my palm, rubbed it to warm it, and then evenly applied it to the bruises on her legs. WAD. Pei Yuan closed her eyes with a complex expression on her face, pain mixed with tension and a hint of shyness. WAD. I could clearly feel it when my palm was kneading the bruises. The woman's legs were trembling slightly, and my hands were shaking constantly. WAD. The whole process of applying the medicine took only a few minutes, but in my intuitive feeling, it seemed like a long time had passed. WAD. After Pei Yuan left the room, I was still in a daze. What happened just now seemed like a dream. WAD. The next morning, I was boiling water in the kitchen to make tea, and a girl who lived in the partition room of the living room came over. WAD. The girl looked at me and wanted to talk to me, but she hesitated. WAD. So I asked, what's the matter? My name is Liu, Ruyan. Brother, I want to ask you something. WAD. The girl laughed and her eyes were full of gossip. That. WAD. Pretty girl, which room is she from? What do you mean? Are you talking about Pei Yuan? Liu Ruyan nodded. WAD. I remember that she lived in the second bedroom, but why did she always come out of your room? I was confused. I was stunned for a long time and evaded the question. Actually, she lives in both rooms. WAD. The reason I said this was because I had my own concerns. I couldn't tell the whole story and say that Pei Yuan actually went in and out of my room to use the bathroom. Otherwise, those people would have to follow suit, and then I would never have peace. WAD in both rooms. Liu Ruyan seemed to be thinking about something and suddenly understood and gave me a thumbs up. Great, so you got her. I smiled and didn't comment. WAD. What a pity. WAD. Liu Ruyan sighed and shook her head. WAD. What a pity. My face drooped. You mean flowers stuck in cow dung? Am I so unbearable? I so unbearable. Liu Ruyan was stunned for a moment, covering her mouth and laughing. No, you misunderstood. I mean, a little beauty living in our room is quite interested in you, so it's a pity. Really? I regretted it in my heart. Which girl is it? I can't match the people in your room. Do you have a photo? Liu Ruyan showed contempt on her time. In a blink of an eye, it was time. WAD. The young couple living in the second bedroom quarreled with the second landlord. They asked for a lower rent because when they rented the house, the second landlord promised not to build a partition. WAD. The experience of a house with or without a partition is completely different. WAD. The second landlord was only interested in profit, so he naturally refused to compromise. WAD. The two sides were on the verge of a fight. WAD. In the end, the young couple moved out and did not get their deposit back. WAD. Soon, two strangers moved into the second bedroom. WAD. That night, I was about to go out when I bumped into Pei Yuan. WAD. Fen Yuan, are you going out? I want to discuss something with you. WAV. Pei Yuan leaned on the doorsill, looking a little unnatural. WAV. What's the matter? Pei Yuan was silent for a while, as if she was making a big decision. Can I share the rent with you? No. What do you mean? I couldn't help but be stunned, and I didn't react for a long time. Aren't we sharing the rent together now? Pei Yuan blushed, pointed to my room, bit her lip and said, I mean, WAV, the two of us share a room. WAV, what? A man and a woman share a room? My head was buzzing, wondering if I had heard it wrong, or if the other person had a problem with his brain. WAV, Pei Yuan often comes to my room, so she should know the situation. WAE, there's only one bed in my room. WAV, don't say that it's not suitable for her and me to be alone. WAB, even if she is a man, we can't share the rent with this condition. I spread my hands. We are alone. How can we share the rent? Feng Yuan, do you have a girlfriend? Pei Yuan asked. WAE, not yet. I glanced at the woman. But what does this have to do with whether you have a girlfriend or not? You are such a beautiful lady. Aren't you afraid that I will take advantage of you? Pei Yuan said calmly, Feng Yuan, I noticed that you go out at night and come back to WAZ. You work the night shift, right? I nodded. I do work in a company with 3 shifts, and I am a new recruit recruited by the campus. WAV. According to the rules of the unit, I have to work the most difficult night shift, which is from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. the next morning. WAV. However, there is an additional allowance for working the night shift, and the unit can reimburse the cost of renting a house. WAV. The monthly limit is about 2,800 yuan. WAD. This amount of money is definitely not enough to rent the whole house, but it is no problem to find a larger single room, so I'm willing to rent this master bedroom. WAV. Isn't this perfect? You live here during the day and I live here at night, so we won't affect each other. WAZ. Pei Yuan said surprisingly, I can also help pay for half of the rent. WAV. In a year, you can save nearly 20,000 yuan. I thought about it, and I have to say that the 20,000 yuan is quite tempting after all. I applied for a student loan in college, a total of 24,000 yuan. WAV. If this money can be saved from rent, the pressure will be reduced a lot. WAZ. What about the time when we are not working? For example, on weekends or weekdays, we always have to live in the same room. WAV. I glanced at Pei Yuan. I'm afraid this is not good, right? I mean, it's not good for you. Pei Yuan chuckled. Oh, Fei Yuan, I believe in you, and I still have some judgment. We can just make do with this special situation you mentioned. I fell into deep thought, and the other party seemed very determined. WAZ. Pei Yuan sighed. Hey, I really can't stand the days of competing with others for the bathroom. It's going crazy. I feel bad to always borrow your bathroom. WAV. If my workplace wasn't nearby, I would have moved out long ago. I scratched my head, still a little embarrassed and hesitant. This situation is beyond my cognition and controllability. WAV. Pei Yuan saw that I was hesitant and hurriedly said, if we share the rent, I will take care of the hygiene of the room, and I can also help you wash your clothes. How about it? I was completely persuaded. Do you have a lot of things? I'll help you move. WAE. Pei Yuan saw that I agreed, and joy appeared on her face. Give me the key. Don't worry about other things. Go to work. Just like that, Pei Yuan and I shared the rent, living in the same room, sleeping in the same bed, and using the same ward. WAB. It's just that we meet each other during the day and the night without intersecting, and living together without disturbing each other. This kind of shared rent model, I didn't dare to think about it before. It seemed like a dream. I originally thought that getting along with Pei Yuan would be easy, at least not so troublesome, but when she moved in, I found that I thought it was simple. WAV. Pei Yuan made 3 rules for me, all of which were aimed at my habits. First, I was not allowed to sleep on the bed without taking a shower. Second, I had to throw my clothes and socks into the dirty clothes basket. Third, I was not allowed to sit or lie on the bed with my coat on, and I had to change into pajamas. And finally, she added another rule unless I was notified in advance. I was not allowed to enter the room during the other party's rest time. WAD. These rules made me feel uncomfortable, and I felt that my quality of life had plummeted. WAD. I regretted it. WAD. Of course, there was a good side. Pei Yuan tidied the room in an orderly manner, which was completely new compared to before. WAD. Even the flowers on the balcony were rimmed neatly, and the window glass was spotless. There was a woman's residual body fragrance on the sheets, which was refreshing. WAD. I breathed in Pei Yuan's body fragrance, tossing and turning, so that I dreamed of her shadow for several days in a row. As a result, I couldn't sleep. WAD. One morning, I came back from the night shift and opened the door to find Pei Yuan still lying in the quilt. WAD. I couldn't help but be surprised at this time in the past. Pei Yuan had already gone to work. WAD. Could it be that she overslept today? I shouted. Hey, aren't you going to work today? Pei Yuan opened her eyes, glanced at me, and then closed them again. WAD. She looked a little weak. WAD. Whether you go to work or not, you have to make room for me. I took off my coat, sat on the edge of the bed, and said, I'm going to sleep. This is what we agreed. WAD. Pei Yuan wrapped in the quilt and leaned to the side, making room. You go to sleep first. I'll leave in a while. I was stunned, staring at the woman in the quilt. Something was wrong. Her face was a little pale, as white as paper, and a row of sweat beads oozed from her forehead. But the weather was not very hot now. WAD. So I reached out and touched Pei Yuan's forehead, and it was really hot. Yuan, you have a fever, more than a fever. WAD. Pei Yuan frowned, looking painful. My stomach hurts, my feet hurt. It's so uncomfortable. WAD. Dysmenorrhation? I asked subconsciously. WAD. Pei Yuan shook her head, her lips trembling a little. WAD. I thought of something and suddenly became nervous. Could it be acute appendicitis? We have to go to the hospital immediately. I should have a stomachic. WAD. Pei Yuan recalled. In the morning, I cooked some quick frozen dumplings. WAD. After eating, I felt very uncomfortable in my stomach. WAD. It must be food poisoning. I hurried to the kitchen and found the bag of dumplings in the freezer of the refrigerator. WAD. I checked the packaging. It was still within the shelf life, and it seemed that this situation should not happen. WAD. I went back to the bedroom. Can you still stand up? Pei Yuan tried to sit up, but she must have severe abdominal pain. WAD. She clenched her teeth and tears fell. WAD. I hurriedly took a taxi, carried her downstairs, and sent her to a nearby hospital. WAD. I took the bag of quick frozen dumplings to the hospital. Pei Yuan was indeed food poisoning, and the doctor arranged for an IV. Doctor said that there was something wrong with the bag of quick frozen dumplings. WAD. It was probably because it had been melted and spoiled. WAD. It might be because of the power outage at home, or the refrigerator was not refrigerating. WAD. Pei Yuan stayed in the hospital for 3 days. WAD. The fever subsided, but she still vomited and had diarrhea, and she lost a lot of weight. WAD. I cooked some nutritious porridge according to the online tutorials, sent it to the hospital, and helped her drink some. WAD. Feng Yuan, can you do me a favor? What is it? Just tell me. WAD. Can you give the students a Chinese class in my place? This request made me speechless for a moment. But looking at the other party's hopeful eyes, it was really hard to refuse. What is the specific content? Our school organizes a community open class, but it is very simple for you. Just talk about the creation stories behind Tang poetry and song lyrics. WAD. Pei Yuan looked at me and said, Feng Yuan, I remember you are a master of literature. WAD. My graduate major is indeed Chinese language and literature, which is my interest, but the job I do after graduation is completely unrelated to my major. WAD. I have to say that this is a kind of helplessness. WAD. Now I have the opportunity to teach students, which is quite interesting. WAV. So I agreed to pay you and went back to prepare lessons seriously. WAV. On the day of my lecture, some parents came to listen, and the response was good. WAV. Pei Yuan was very happy, Fang Yuan. Thank you for your hard work these days. WAV. How can I thank you? I shrugged. We sleep on the same kang. Why should I be polite? Hey, a dog can't spit out ivory. Pei Yuan rolled her eyes at me, her face as bright as the morning glow. WAV. I am a person who knows how to repay kindness. WAV. Tell me what wishes you have. Maybe I can help you realize them. I laughed. You have too many wishes, and they may scare you away if I tell them out. I can't help buying a car or a house, but I can look into finding you a girlfriend. WAV. I was stunned. Why are you going to repay me with your own body? Pay you and hit me. What I mean is, I can introduce you to a partner, or if you have someone you like, I can also give you some advice. That person emerged in my mind, and I couldn't help but sigh. WAZ. Feiyuan observed my expression. Do you have someone you like? I said frankly, I am pursuing someone, but it is not easy, and you should not be able to help. WAG. Who said I can't help? My words seemed to anger Pei Yuan. WAD. She snorted and said angrily, I'll make a military order. If I can't handle the other party, I will be your girlfriend. I was stunned and stared at Pei Yuan, unable to speak. WAV. Pei Yuan grabbed my arm and asked, Tell me quickly, what is the situation of the person you like? The person I am pursuing is by Ning Bing. WAE. She is from the same university as me and is a few years younger than me. WAV, by name Bing, was supposed to graduate this year, but she also took a double degree and delayed graduation for a year. Bai Ning Bing doesn't look as stunning as Pei Yuan, but she's a very attractive type, which fits my aesthetic. WAV, I started pursuing her when I was in school, but there has been no result until now. WAV, Bai Ning Bing neither agreed nor refused my pursuit, saying that we could be friends first, and she was hot and cold, close and distant. WAV, this uncertain relationship made me feel very tormented, but Bai Ning Bing had never found a partner, so I had hope before this. WAZ, one afternoon, I received a call from Bai Ning Bing. WAV, she said she was in a shopping mall not far from me and wanted to meet me. WAV, when I rushed to the mall, Bai Ning Bing was trying on shoes and waved at me. Fang Yuan, my choice difficulty has come back again. WAV. She shook the shoes in her hand, frowned, and said, Come over and help me choose. Which of these two pairs of shoes is better? If you like them, just buy them both. WAV, I suggested. Bai Ning Bing hesitated, sighed, and didn't answer. I went to the counter to check out and asked the clerk to pack the two pairs of shoes. I had just started working and didn't have much money, but I was never stingy when buying things for Bai Ning Bing. WAV. Thank you, Fang Yuan. You spent money again today. WAV. Bai Ning Bing was very happy, put her arm around me and said, Come on, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. WAV. We went to the coffee shop next door and found a quiet place to sit down. WAV. I know that Bai Ning Bing has been busy writing his dissertation recently, so I asked, How come you have time to come here today? I came to see you. WAV. Bai Ning Bing took out a bag of dried tofu from his bag. I went to Fujian for a trip a few days ago and brought it to you. Doubles touched and a little surprised. Wow, you went to Fujian. I should have asked you to bring me some rock tea. WAV. Just be content with dried tofu. Bai Ning Bing rolled his eyes at me. By the way, Fang Yuan, can you do me a favor? What is it? I asked. Bai Ning Bing said with a depressed look, My thesis proposal report was rejected by the teacher again. Can you help me write one? I'm afraid this is not a good idea. I was in a dilemma when I heard it. You are so careless. You went to Fujian for a trip, even though your thesis didn't pass. Bai Ning Bing got up from the opposite side of the table, sat next to me, shook my arm, and begged, Please, Fang Yuan, do you want to see me fail to graduate? I will show you my graduate. I will show you my graduation. WAD. I sat up straight, frowned, and said, It's not that I don't want to help, but the proposal report is very energy consuming. WAV. I'm working the night shift now, and my biological clock is reversed. WE, I really have no energy. WAV, by Ming Feng's face darkened Feng Yuan. You keep saying that you like me and can do anything for me, but it seems that it's all fake. I glanced at Bai Ming Bing, thought for a while, and said, how about this? If you agree to be my girlfriend, I will help you write it. WAV, Bai Ming Bing pushed me on and said angrily, you are blackmailing me. I spread my hands. How can this be considered a blackmail? Bai Ming Bing stared at me for a long time, and his tone softened. Fang Yuan, I know how you feel about me, but you have been working the night shift and we don't see each other normally. WAV. How can we be a couple? I was speechless for a while. Bai Ming Bing, what kind of excuse is that? And I won't work the night shift all the time. WAV. If we are together, I can change for you. We are college classmates, and we are half fellow villagers. We know each other well, so it should be a good match. Bai Ming Bing took a sip of coffee, looked at me, and changed the subject. But have you ever thought about it? With our economic conditions, it will be difficult to settle down in Beijing in the future. WAV, you also know how out of reach the housing prices here are. WAV. My heart was stabbed, it hurts, and I can't breathe. WAV. Bai Ming Bing, are you rejecting me by saying this? It's to remind the two of us to be more realistic. WAV. Bai Ming Bing's tone was rational and cold. WAV. After a pause, he said, we still have a long way to go in the future. WAV. At least now is not the time to talk about feelings. WAV. I lowered my head, and the hot steam from the coffee cup moistened my eyes. WAV. Feng Yuan, why are you here? Suddenly a familiar voice came. WAV. I looked up and saw Pei Yuan sitting opposite with a cup of coffee. Bai Ming Bing was stunned for a moment. Feng Yuan, who is this? I tried to calm down and introduced. This is my roommate, Pei Yuan. WAV. Bai Ming Bing's eyes wandered over Pei Yuan. Feng Yuan, your roommate is quite pretty, a great beauty. Feng Yuan, Pei, Chan's lips curled up slightly. What kind of roommate can sleep in the same bed with me? Pei Chan's words were like thunder rumbling in my ears. WAV. I was stunned for a moment. WAV. I didn't expect her to say that, and in front of Bai Ming Bing, I can't clear myself from this. Even if I jump into the Yellow River, Feng Yuan, what's going on? Bai Ming Bing stood up and looked at me coldly. Didn't you say you've been single? You already have a girlfriend, and you're still chasing me. I hurriedly explained. Don't get me wrong, she was just joking. Pei Yuan interrupted me. This is not a joke. Take your friend to our room. WAD. Do you dare? Pei Yuan, what do you want to do? I was speechless for a moment, too angry to speak. WAZ. Enough, Feng Yuan. I didn't expect you to be a scumbag. Bai Ming Bing raised the coffee in her hand and splashed it on my face, then grabbed the shoulder bag on the chair and left without looking back. WAV. Listen to my explanation. It's not like that. I got up and wanted to chase Bai Ming Bing, but was pulled back by Pei Yuan. Pei Yuan, what on earth do you want to do? I was so furious that I shook off her hand. I have been chasing her for several years, and you ruined it with just one sentence. You have to figure it out. Was it me who ruined it? Pei Yuan looked innocent. I heard your conversation just now. She doesn't like you at all, okay? You're a dog licker. What? You heard it all. WAD. Pei Yuan, are you following me? Boring. Pei Yuan snorted. I arrived at the coffee shop first, okay? Sitting next to you, your mind was all on that woman, so you didn't recognize. WAE, what a pity. You are so devoted to her, but she doesn't appreciate it. You are such a pathetic licker. Pei Yuan, what does it have to do with you whether I lick her or not? I was so angry. This is a matter between me and her. Why do you interfere? You are just a traitor. I don't want to bother with you. I took a napkin to wipe the coffee off my face, pushed open the glass door, and prepared to chase Bai Ming Bing. WAD. She already has a boyfriend, and you are still like a fool, Pei Yuan suddenly said behind me. WAV. I was shocked when I heard it, and immediately retreated. What did you say? Pei Chan's eyes met mine, without any guilt, and said, whitely, I know that girl. WAD. What? You know by Ming Bing? I stared at Pei Yuan in a daze, feeling a little incredible. WAV? Pei Yuan nodded. Once I saw her with a student's parent, driving to the school to pick up the child. WAV, at that time she leaned on the man's shoulder and the two were very close. WAV, what? Is this true? What's the parent's name? My heart felt like it was hit by a huge rock, and it hurt so much that I couldn't breathe. WAE. Pei Yuan glanced at me and said, his name is Old Wang next door. WAZ. This name sounds very familiar, yes. I remember it now. Lao Wang next door is a teacher in our university. Could it be that Bai Ningbing is having an affair with a school teacher? She would rather choose a middle-aged divorced man with children than agree to be my girlfriend. I slumped in the chair weakly, feeling that the world was gloomy. WAD, I have been in a bad mood these days. WAD, I got confirmation from others Bai Ningbing has indeed become the girlfriend of Lao Wang next door, and it is said that the two have been living together. WAV, I realized that Leighton had been kept in the dark, which is really sad. WAV, I was hit hard, and I took a leave on the weekend night when I was supposed to go to work. WAA, Pei Yuan is a teacher, so she naturally doesn't go to work on weekends. WAV, at this time, we inevitably have to share a room, but we are busy with our own things. I occupy the desk to play games, and she leans on the head of the bed to watch TV series. WAV, Pei Yuan fried the dishes, put a small table on the balcony, and prepared 2 bottles of beer and called me over to eat together. WAZ, to be honest, Hunan women cook really well, but it's a bit spicy. WAV, what movie are you watching? The music is creepy. WAV, I asked. Tiu unstroked her hair. The Shining. The plot is very thrilling. WAV, if you were not in the room, I would not dare to watch it alone. WAV, I laughed. Do I also have the effect of giving courage? Pei Yuan nodded, of course. Didn't you find that I couldn't help but glance at you when I was watching a movie? I thought you were interested in me. WAV, you are so conceited. Where do you get your confidence from? Pei Yuan put down the wine glass. You can't even handle Bai Ningbing, and you still want to handle me. I sighed, feeling lost, and drank alone. WAV? Sorry, I touched your sore spot. WAV. Pei Yuan clinked glasses with me, but a short pain is worse than a long pain. Bai Ningbing treats you as a spare tire and keeps you hanging. WAV. Can't you see it? I was silent for a long time. Maybe I'm not good enough. WAV. Okay, don't belittle yourself. The matter is done. You can't change anything. You still have to cheer yourself up. WAD. Pei Yuan paused and then said, there are many beautiful women in the world. I will introduce you to someone in a few days. WAD. You will introduce me to someone? I glanced at Pei Yuan. I remember you said that if you can't help me chase Bai Ningbing, you will be my girlfriend. Now you don't admit it. Oh, I'm just talking. You have signed a military order. I remind WAV. Who would have thought that you would be passed by the other party so quickly? Pei Yuan covered her face with her hands. Even if I have signed a military order, I have to examine you. Don't let you be a fire pit. It's not a fire pit, but it's better than a fire pit. WAV. I couldn't help but laugh at myself. WAG, what do you mean? You admit that you are a fire pit? I nodded. I'm almost 30 years old. I don't have a car or a house, and I have accomplished nothing. WAD. Come to think of it, what Bai Ningbing said is right. WAD. My current situation is indeed not suitable for a relationship. WAV. Pei Yuan tilted her head, so even if I said something wrong, I don't need to blame myself. I clinked my glasses with Pei Yuan. Congratulations on your liberation. WAD. Although I didn't drink much, my head was groggy. It might be because I was in a bad mood and had poor sleep these days. WAD. Taiwan and I had an agreement. If it was the weekend and we both had a rest, she would sleep on the bed and I would sleep on the floor. The room near the balcony was quite spacious, and it was not bad to sleep on the floor with magazines and mats spread on the floor. WAV, at least it was cool next to the window in summer. WAV, not long after I lay down, I fell asleep in a daze. WAV, in the middle of the night, Pei Yuan suddenly screamed. I sat up with a start and asked, "What's wrong?" Ghost, ghost. WAV, in the dark, Pei Yuan was incoherent, and her voice was full of fear. WAV, I hurriedly got up and walked to her side. Where is the ghost? Pei Yuan hugged me and pointed in a direction. WAV. I looked in the direction of Herf Ingrid, saw a ball of green flame dancing under the desk, like the eyes of a devil staring in the dark. WAV. I breathed a sigh of relief and let go of my hanging heart. Sister, don't be startled, okay? That's my computer host. What computer host? I turned on the lights in the room. The place with flashing green light was my computer host. WAV. Because I was downloading a large game. It was still in standby mode at night. WAE. Pei Yue Chan's face turned pale and she covered her chest with her hands. I was scared to death. It turned out to be a false alarm. WAV. I turned off the lights again. Watch fewer horror movies in the future. WAV. I was lying on the floor, half asleep and half awake. I felt a figure swaying beside me and quickly opened my eyes. Pei Yuan stood in front of me at some point with disheveled hair, which really scared me. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? Pei Yuan sat next to me. I'm scared and can't sleep. Fen Yuan, can you talk to me? I really admire you. WAV. I yawned, resisting the sleepiness to make room for her. WAV. Lying next to me, she also pulled a corner of my quilt over. WAV. Do you believe that ghosts exist in this world? I don't believe it. WAZ. When a person dies, it's like a light goes out. WAV. Pei Yuan was silent for a while and said, I believe it. WAV. I encountered it when I was a child. WAV. You want to listen? Go to sleep quickly. I comforted her. It's all illusions. WAZ. All appearances are false. Double. UAV. No, it's definitely not an illusion. Pei Yuan shook my arm and said stubbornly, I'm afraid of sleeping alone. WAZ. It may be the shadow left by my childhood. WAV. I was helpless. Then you tell me, I'll listen. WAV. Pei Yuan said that when she was young, she should be 6 or 7 years old. WAZ. At that time, her sister was in poor health and always sick. WAV. Her mother took her sister to the hospital for treatment and left her alone at home. WAV. They often came home very late. WAV. Why didn't your parents take you to the hospital? We lived in the countryside at the time. WAV. My parents took my sister to see a doctor on a bicycle, so they definitely couldn't take me. WAV. Pei Yuan paused and said, one night I woke up and no one was at home. WAV. It was dark outside, and there were owls hooting in the yard. WAV. I was scared to stay at home, so I wanted to go to my grandmother's house 5 kilometers away. WAV. I had to climb over 2 flood control embankments and cross a large area of wild farmland. WAV. I frowned. Were you really only 5 or 6 years old at the time? I remember I wasn't in school at that time. WAV. Pei Yue Chan's grip on my arm gradually increased. Jungle, UAV. I stood on the flood control embankment and saw a red light in the jungle not far away. WAZ. I recognized that it was the old man herding sheep in our village. WAV. The red light came from his pipe, so I hurried towards him. WAV. When I got closer, there was nothing but a cemetery under my feet. Is there such a thing? My scalp was numb. Did you see it clearly at that time? Yes, I was definitely not mistaken. At that time, I also saw many sheep on the ground, but they disappeared after I walked them. WAV. I was so scared that I ran towards my grandmother's house. WAV. Finally, I arrived at my grandmother's house, and she was very surprised to see me. WAV. After a while, my father also came on his bike. WAV. I told them what I saw on the road, and my father's face changed at that time. I sighed. You are a little girl running around in the middle of the night, which is really distressing. No, Pai Yuan grabbed my arm tightly and said in a trembling voice, "My father said that the old man who grazed the sheep has died and was buried just a few days ago." WAD. So I must have seen a ghost. In the middle of summer, my back was cold. WAD. Pei Yuan and I chatted back and forth, and I couldn't remember when she stopped talking and when she fell asleep. WAD. The next morning, the sun shone in from the window. WAD. I stretched my arms and yawned. WAD. Suddenly, I felt the back of my hand was burned. WAD. I couldn't help but scream. It turned out that when I yawned just now, the back of my hand touched the mosquito coil on the ground and got a scar. Ellie pressing my hair. I was startled and turned my head to look. Pei Yuan was still next to me. The woman squeezed into a quilt with me, her head resting on my shoulder, her hair messy, and her eyes sleepy. WAD. My head was buzzing, and my thinking was a little short-circuited. Last night, I actually slept with Pei Yuan in my arms all night. Pei Yuan also woke up staring at me with eyes gradually widened, her eyes full of shock, and finally screamed, "Fang Yuan, you pervert! Miss Wei, look carefully, whose territory is this?" Pei Yuan sat up, looked around, and found that she was on the floor. WAD. She couldn't help but bury her head in the quilt and made a sound. WAD. After a while, she stood up, tidied her hair and clothes, and said with a red face, "I'm sorry, I thought of my childhood yesterday and was a little scared, so." WAV. I lost my composure. WAD. It's okay. I scratched my head to ease the embarrassment, and my eyes couldn't help but glance at her white legs. I was really too sleepy yesterday, and I fell asleep while chatting. WAD. Besides, I didn't suffer any loss. WAD. Where are you looking? Pei Yuan noticed the obscenity in my eyes and rolled her eyes at me. Did you really not do anything to me at night? I swear okay. Pei Yuan interrupted me. Let me see if the burn on the back of your hand is serious. WAD. I stretched out my hand and it was indeed painful. WAD. Pei Yuan checked it, got up and took the ointment, and applied a layer on the back of my hand, which was slightly cool. Thank you. I feel much more relaxed after applying the ointment. WAV. Or you can come to the bed tonight. WAV. Pei Yuan blushed and bit her lip and said, "But you have to promise not to bully me." WAV. Really? I couldn't believe my ears. WAV. I just sympathize with you. WAV. Pei Yuan curled her lips. You decide, come or not. WAV. At night, I put the quilt on the bed, and under Pei Yue-chan's gaze, I lay down beside her generously. WAD. I turned off the lights, and the moonlight shone in, making the room hazy like water. WAE. I smelled her fragrance, tossing and turning, as if I was dreaming. WAE. Pei Yuan asked softly, "Fang Yuan, are you asleep?" "No." I replied. WAD. I can't sleep either. How will you tell a ghost story? I was speechless for a while. Aren't you very timid? But I really want to listen. WAV. So I told a plot from a horror movie. WAV. Pei Yuan listened very attentively, and her breathing became rapid. WAD. Are you cold? Pei Yuan asked. It's okay, what's wrong? Why do I feel a gust of cold wind in the room? WAD. Pei Yuan said suspiciously, "Touch my hand, it's so cold." WAD. Pei Yuan approached me, pulled open the quilt, and squeezed into my arms. WAV. I was startled. What's going on? I quickly moved out, but the other party followed me like a shadow and put her hand into my clothes. The woman's hand was very cold, to be exact, like ice. WAD. I shuddered, and the blood in my veins flowed quickly, so I hugged the woman and reached out to unbutton her pajamas. WAV. Pei uncovered the buttons with her hands to stop me from moving. "Fang Yuan, do you like me or a ghost?" I was stunned and a little confused. What kind of strange question is this? So I blurted out, "Of course, I like you." Pei Yue-chan's hand loosened and let me unbutton her buttons one by one. WAD. In the dark, the flimsy bedboard creaked. Thinking of this, I felt that Pei Yue-chan's body was also cold and stiff. WAD. I hurriedly checked it out. The woman had no heartbeat, no breath. I couldn't help but shudder. WAV. What I was holding in my arms was a corpse. I screamed and struggled to escape, but I was tightly clamped by the other party and couldn't move at all. I'm doublest. Don't you like it? The woman showed a weird smile, and the nails on her hands suddenly grew longer. Sure enough, men's words are all lies to ghosts. Yuan, let me go. I trembled and begged for mercy for the sake of our roommate. WAV. Then you should accompany me. The woman's nails shone with cold light and pinched me. WAV. My soul flew away, and I struggled to avoid it, but fell to the floor with a thump. The scenery in the room changed in an instant. WAV. Pei Yuan was lying quietly, and the long nails on her hands disappeared. WAV. My forehead was sweaty and my eyelids trembled, and it turned out to be a nightmare. Pei Yuan was awakened by the noise and asked, in a daze, Fang Yuan, what's wrong with you? Let's sleep on the floor. WAV. I turned on the light and said helplessly, to people sleeping in one bed, I'm still not used to it. Please don't think about coming up again in the future. Pei Yuan threw my quilt and pillow to the ground. WAV. One day, I returned to my residence after get off work and was surprised when I opened the door. There was a middle-aged woman sitting on a chair in the room, about 50 years old, looking down at her phone. WAV. I was in a trance for a while, suspecting that I had walked into the wrong room, and subconsciously took 2 steps back to confirm that this was my residence. WAV. The middle-aged woman also noticed me, raised her head and asked, who are you looking for? I recovered from the shock. Is Pei Yuan here? Yuan is in the kitchen. WAV. The middle-aged woman's eyes scanned my face. Is she her roommate? Yes. WAV. I nodded and evaded. I'm from the next room. I want to borrow something from her. WAV. I turned and went to the kitchen and saw Pei Yuan coming out with washed fruit and almost bumped into her. WAV. Who is that person in the room? I asked. WAV. Keep your voice down. Pei Yuan pulled me aside and made a gesture to keep quiet. WAV. My mom is here. You have to step aside. Is that person your mom? I was at a loss for words. Why didn't you tell me earlier? If I hadn't reacted quickly, the fact that we lived together would have been exposed. Who would have thought that you would come back so early today? Pei Yuan powdered and grabbed a handful of cherries for me. WAV. My mom was supposed to catch a plane, but it snowed heavily in the south and the flight was delayed. WAV. She stayed at my place overnight. WAV. You stay in the kitchen first, and we'll pack up and leave. WAV. I nodded. No hurry. Your mom didn't find anything, did she? Pei Yuan blushed. I'll tell you later. WAV. After Pei Yuan left, I stood in the kitchen for a while. WAV. I felt a little hungry, so I wanted to go to the gate of the community to eat something late. WAV. As a result, when I was waiting for the elevator, Pei Yuan and her order came out. WAV. Pei Yuan introduced, Mom, he is Fang Yuan. WAV. Hello, Auntie. WAV. I hurriedly greeted her. WAV. KYUHN's mother nodded and looked me up and down. Thank you, Xiao Feng. You had always mentioned you and said that you took good care of her. WAV. We are all under the same roof, so it's only right that we help each other. WAV. Pei Yuan glanced at me, biting her lip with an unnatural expression. WAV. In the elevator, Pei Yuan's mother asked again, Yuan, when are you going to bring your boyfriend home? Where can I get a boyfriend? Are you a mother of a 3-year-old child? There are clearly men's clothes in the closet and 2 quilts. I don't care anyway. I'm going to bring him home this spring festival. Pei Yuan lowered her head and said nothing. WAV. Xiao Feng, how is her boyfriend? Tell me. WAV. The woman asked. WAV. Auntie, I haven't seen him. WAV. I said guiltily and added, I usually work night shifts and my biological clock is reversed. It's not easy to drift north. WAV. Pei Yuan's mother sighed. If you have a chance to go to Xiaoyang, the fish we had there is delicious. WAV. I nodded and said nothing more. WAV. Pei Yuan and her daughter got out of the elevator and walked out of the community, but they looked back at me from time to time. WAV. Pei Yuan came back after sending her mother away. Feng Yuan, there is something I want to tell you in moving out. WAD. Why? I was stunned. WAD. This news was a bit sudden. WAD. Did your mother find out about us? Of course, my mother is not stupid. WAD. But this is not the main reason. WAD. Pei Yuan said faintly, it will disturb you if I stay here. It's almost winter and it's not good for you to always sleep on the floor. WAD. It doesn't matter, just buy a camp bed. WAD. Great job. Pei Yuan sighed, I give you half of the big bed, and you dislike it. Then you can sleep by yourself in the future. I was silent for a while. Yuan, are you angry? Pei Yuan asked back, why should I be angry? Actually, it's good for you to live here. WAD. You can't bear to leave me, Pei Yuan asked with her head tilted. WAV. Are you really leaving? Pei Yuan nodded. The school sent me to the East Campus, which is far from here, so I plan to move there. WAV. My mood became heavy, and I felt lost. WAZ. Feng Yuan, are you free later? Pei Yuan said as she packed her things. I'll treat you to a meal. Thank you for taking care of me these days. WAD. In the mall, we found a Hunan restaurant and ordered fish, but I was asinine about what it tasted like, and I ate the meal mechanically. WAV. It's still early. Let's go play the escape room, Pei Yuan asked. WAD. I nodded and followed her into the escape room. WAD. The atmosphere in the room was gloomy. It was a horror scene, and our task was to find the key to open the door as soon as possible. WAD. According to the prompt, the key was in a dilapidated piano. WAD. When I went to the piano to look for it, the piano suddenly made a crisp sound, and all the lights in the room went out. Pei Yuan screamed and threw herself into my arms. WAD. Don't be afraid. WAV. I hesitated for a moment, hugged her idly, and felt the girl's pounding heartbeat. WAV. We couldn't see each other in the dark, but we could feel each other's emotions. WAE. A customer service announcement came from the room. Don't worry, it's not a power outage. WAD. The plot requires it. WAD. The darkness will last for 1 minute and the lights will be restored. WAD. Pei Yuan and I slowly approached each other, put our lips together, and kissed gently. WAZ. Time is slowing down, freezing, and going back. The lights came on, and Pei Yuan and I reluctantly separated from each other. WAZ. We looked at each other, our eyes entangled. WAV. Admission was over, and the door of the room slowly opened. WAG. Pei Yuan put her arm around me and walked around the mall like a fluttering butterfly. WAZ. Pei Yuan tried on a few clothes. Do they look good? I stared at her broad curves, my eyes widened. WAG. Pei Yuan put down her clothes. Let's go home. WAV. Why not buy one? I'll give you one. WAV. Are you rich? The woman laughed. Why don't you waive my rent? I scratched my head and said, okay. WAZ. Pei Yuan rolled her eyes at me silly. We went downstairs and passed by a photo studio. WAZ. Pei Yuan stopped and pulled me in. Let's take a photo as a souvenir. WAV. On the way back, we didn't talk but held hands together. WAV. When we arrived at the place where we lived, Pei Yuan continued to pack her things. WAD. Yuan, are you really going to move out? Pei Yuan nodded. I've already rented a house over there. WAD. Then, what should I do? I no longer concealed my emotions. Didn't you see I was packing your things? Pei Yuan laughed. Are you willing to share the rent with me over there? I nodded quickly and went forward to hug her. I do. It's a one-bedroom apartment with only one bed. WAD. Pei Yuan added, of course, if you like to sleep on the floor, that's fine too. I want to hug you to sleep, but I need to go through the formalities. WAD. Pei Yuan bit her lip and said, I'm not a casual woman. WAD. I was stunned. What formalities? Today is Saturday. The Civil Affairs Bureau is still open. WAD. Pei Yuan said. WAD. I was a little confused. Does the Civil Affairs Bureau still manage the rental procedures? Silly, we are going to get the marriage certificate. Pei Yuan shook the photo in her hand. Don't pretend. You took a reed-bottomed photo with me. UN, this is a flash marriage. I was a little at a loss, but we haven't even met our parent. WAD, are you dissatisfied with me, or are your parents dissatisfied with me? Peiyuan asked again. They must be very happy. Let's go. Peiyuan urged. The car I called is here. We took the documents and went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the marriage certificate. WAD, I felt confused along the way like I was dreaming. WAV, I pinched myself and it hurt. This was not a dream. YUH and Peiyuan frowned. What should you call me? Wife. Peiyuan leaned in my arms. WAV, now that it's done, what about the betrothal gift? I was stunned. I haven't thought about this yet. WAV, don't want to give it? Peiyuan asked with a straight face. WAV, I hurriedly said, give it. I will definitely give it. How much do you want? Peiyuan thought for a while. You pay the rent in the future, which will be used as a betrothal gift, and I accept installments. WAZ. I was stunned and hugged Peiyuan. I thought you were eating on the betrothal gift by getting married in a flash. You are crazy. Peiyuan went crazy. WAZ. Half a year later, Peiyuan and I held our wedding in my hometown. WAV. 3 years later, on a weekend afternoon, Peiyuan and I were walking in the park, and my son was riding a small car in front. WAV. I received a call from Bai Mingbing. Thank Zhuan, are you still in Beijing? Bai Mingbing asked. WAV. Yes, Bai Mingbing was silent for a while. A few years have passed, and I have experienced a lot. WAV. Now, when I think about it, I still think you are good. WAD, where are you? I want to talk to you. WAD, what to talk about? I asked coldly. WAD, of course, it's about the two of us. Bai Mingbing seemed very surprised by my attitude. I can consider being your girlfriend. WAD, you may not have paid attention to my circle of friends. WAD, I didn't know what to say for a moment, and I felt a little ridiculous. I got married a long time ago, and my children can help with cooking. WAD, you are lying to me, right? I hope you will get better and better in the future. WAD, I hung up the phone and chased after my wife and children. WAD, the sun shone on the lawn. Peiyuan looked back at me, and the arc of her mouth was filled with tiny lights. WAD, the wind lifted the ends of her hair and swept across my palms. That was the fireworks of the world, more gentle than the moonlight.